I know we're kind of bouncing around everywhere. This week in hockey has been awesome, but also incredibly gross.
Absolutely.
Incredibly gross week for hockey.
We'll get into that.
So
but let's stay positive. Talk with the Canucks. Arash,
no, let's stay negative.
That is our brand. Because
apparently that's what we're all good. That's what we're good for, right? We either have to gaslight ourselves to make everything positive, or we're too negative. We can't just be right in the middle.
Of course. Arash, pick a player. What excited you the most on this July 28th, a Wednesday, the year of our Lord 2021?
All right, guys. So this is the thing. I know a lot of people are going to be watching what they did today, and they're going to say, oh, what is the Tucker Pullman contract? Oh, they brought back Travis Hammond. Oh, they gave, okay, some people are stoked on Luke Schenn. That's great. I'm stoked on Luke Schenn for a couple reasons. They brought back Sutter. Oh, okay, a few things. Number one, let's break it down real quick. Brandon Sutter was brought back for 1 year at 1.125. Okay.
Love him.
If you think you're going to go out in the free agent market right now, get a right-handed centerman who has spent 71.9% of defensive zone starts, had a face-off percentage that was 55% this year. If you think you're going to go, look at what Boston gave to Thomas Nosek.
Arash, look at Phil Deneau.
Phil Deneau,
$5.5 million.
Phil Deneau, okay, Phil Deneau is a Selke level candidate. Okay, that's another level.
But if you're looking for
a fourth line center who's gonna, his line mates are going to be like Highmore, Mott, Lockwood, whatever. Brandon Sutter is a foundational fourth line player. Absolutely. So anyone that's upset about Brandon Sutter coming back, listen, the one person I could have time for them to have really signed was, I brought it up last year, was Lucas Wallmark, because he didn't get signed and he didn't get qualified with Chicago. But listen, Lucas Wallmark, left-handed, not great, not that great at faceoffs. They brought back Brandon Sutter. Fine. Brandon Sutter he's not gonna kill you.
What's everybody's biggest issues with Brandon Sutter over the years? Number one, he made $4.37 million, which is way too much money, and that's fine. The other thing we didn't like is that his role on this team would, just because of the lack of depth at forward depth and especially at center depth, his role would go from third, maybe fourth to second. He was used far too much than what was beneficial for him.
Yeah.
There are weights and measures in place that it's going to be Pettersson, it's going to be Horvat, it's going to be Dickinson, and then it's going to be penalty kill, defensive zone, shot blocking, hell of a handsome man, accidentally exposed himself on Pittsburgh Penguins television, but that wasn't his fault. Brandon goddamn Sutter making one hell of a nice, neat and tidy contract.
Yeah, it's totally fine, and I love it, and everyone should have time for it. It's a fourth line center position, guys. You're in this market, you weren't going to get anything better than that, and it's odd. I think it's great. Whatever. Next.
Pullman.
The Travis Hammond signing, guys. In terms of getting a right-handed defenseman on a shorter term, that they their left side, like I told you in the chat, their left side is going to be puck moving, they're going to puck possession, trying to do that all, and hopefully OEL bounces back. And OEL doesn't have to be a number one D man. He just has to be that.
Oh, but he's getting paid to be.
It doesn't. That's another story. Okay, so on their right side, the one thing I love that they did with Travis Hammond, because they brought him back. They gave him $3 million. A lot. Yeah, they gave him $3 million. Okay, I get that. The one thing they did that I thought was wonderful, they brought on Travis Hammond, and then they immediately went out and got Luke Schenn. This is going to be the mentality. If Travis Hammond at any point in time gets injured, Luke Schenn is just popped in wherever Travis Hammond is. If it's Quinn Hughes and Travis Hammond, and Hammond goes down because he has injury history, you have a backup with a proven, Luke Schenn, that can go there and, just start killing people because he's
seven hits a shift.
7 hits a shift, just doesn't have any offense, just knows his role. He reinvented it. Love it. And it was at 840K.
Great.
Got total time with that. The Tucker Pullman one. Okay. So Tucker Pullman, in his analytics, this one was a little baffling. He was paired mainly with Josh Morrissey because Paul Maurice was obsessed with lefty righty. He was paired with Josh Morrissey. And if you look at Josh Morrissey's analytics, they're not that great either. This was the one contract where I was like, okay, this is a Jim special. Like Jim got it in his mind probably that he found, he's like, oh my God, this guy, I like him a lot, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the one beneficial. I don't agree with it. I think like, man, if you could have, went out and spent $2.5 million on someone maybe a bit more proven or whatever, or scan the market or trades or whatever. Great. Okay. This is the one thing. The NHL is always going to need, and teams are always going to need right-handed defensemen.
Yep.
So with Hammond, with Pullman, listen, if stuff really shits the bed, these are not immovable contracts. They're not crippling, like, oh my God, these players cannot play.
Yeah.
Tucker Pullman, maybe we have to see what he's gonna be. Like he played on the University of North Dakota with Brock Besser. He won a national championship with him. And yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. But also the one caveat they needed to do is that by moving out all those other contracts and also their lack of draft picks coming up, because last few years they just haven't picked prospects, they needed to stock up the cupboards. They needed two-way contracts. They needed players.
Yeah.
So them going out, getting Brad Hunt, huge, like re-signing Justin Bailey, just restocking, making Abbotsford incredibly competitive.
And they're also paying quite nicely in Abbotsford. That is an Aquilini investment through and through. Nick Batan's making like $450,000 in the AHL.
Like in Nick Batan's after the game, he's just going to be like, all right, get on the bus. We're going to pick some blueberries. Just that's what's going to happen. So they went out and they did that, which was great. Like now they have a ton. None of these, listen, they didn't go out and sign a player, any of the players that are going to be like needle movers.
Well,
but listen, if the injuries happen, and they're going to happen, they have warm bodies. And that's what they essentially need. They need warm bodies. They signed someone like Nick Batan, who, has played top 9 minutes, has some experience. He's not going to, he is what he is now. He's an AHL All-Star. Brad Hunt, same thing.
Hunt can play.
He's played in the NHL quite a bit.
And he's been an affordable one. And I found it so fitting that they finally signed Brad Hunt because for many years, old PMAC on the street on this very show would be like, you need to find guys like Brad Hunt and pay them less so you're not paying these idiots. And so I made sure to let them know today. I'm like, they must have been listening to the old episodes because we finally got Brad Hunt. But these are the players that us as fans have wanted for so long, of affordable depth guys, so that when somebody eventually gets hurt because of travel and because of this league, we're not reliant on who's in Utica that has a pulse and can play defense, because now there are guys that get called up and make a difference and keep the boat from sinking, but then go back to the AHL and keep that team competitive. It's all positives.
Yeah. And listen, I just need to preface this because unfortunately the discourse is at an all-time poop.
No, get out of here.
No, the discourse is because you're either on one side or the other. Some of the moves they made, like we started off the day really good. Some of the other moves they made, we maybe weren't as money puck. But I think in terms of, like, listen, Tucker Pullman's making 3.1% of the cap.
He's making $2.5 million.
He's making 2.5. Just let Jim have his little thing. Jim needs a thing. He has an obsession. Sometimes he finds a player and he's like, oh, he's going to be Christian. Okay, let him have his little toy. It's fine. I am personally with the off season that we had and the season coming up, I am excited. I think a lot of this stuff hinges with OEL and how he bounces back.
Yep.
On how we look at this off season and say, oh, is this worth it? I think this fan base, once they see Connor Garland play, this is Brad Marchand light. He screams Brad Marchand light.
Yeah, this market loves Brad Marchand.
This is Brad. He is your Brad. He is your Brad Marchand light. It's just wait. Please clip that. You guys are gonna see it. And I think just it's kind of crazy. We really haven't seen an off season like this from any general manager where Jim said he was going to be aggressive. And you know what? I think just from the past years that we've been here and the past off seasons and how exhausting that stuff was, where not only were we trying to become competitive but we were oddly becoming competitive with like these terrible moves that traded short-term stuff and didn't pay off short-term. And then other people are like, well, we had to. It's like, no, this is stop gaslighting. You're doing it again. Don't do that. I personally am just really stoked. And if stuff doesn't work out, like this is one thing I got to say, if stuff like, let's say OEL doesn't pan out, let's say for we give him a chance for 3-4 years and he's really fallen off a cliff. The Canucks have a few outs.
Yeah, of course.
They have his contract. They can buy out his contract where, it's not going to be like, oh my God, they're paying him $42 million on the cap hit.
Well,
whatever to buy him
Arash, the other thing is, of all of these Jimbo specials in the past, you have, players that were expected to play way out of their element, out of their wheelhouse. And now, you don't even have OEL being expected to be your number one power play guy, your number one offensive generator. They have that in Quinn Hughes. So it's like everybody kind of has roles that make sense to them. And speaking of,
but you're paying him like he is supposed to be your number one defenseman.
Oh God, it's Geeta's music. What the hell is she doing here?
That is the absolute downside, Geeta, is that this guy is making about, with the retained salary, it's about $7.5 million, which
he's making more money than like Nathan McKinnon is.
You're not wrong.
Wow, shit, she's not wrong on that.
She's not wrong. Yeah.
I would rather him than Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Oh,
right?
Well, I would like
our opinion.
Yeah, I would love if the NHL worked that way.
Geeta, where are you currently?
I'm in Departure Bay. We're waiting for the 8:30 ferry.
Is Departure Bay?
Pardon?
That's Nanaimo, right?
It's Nanaimo. It's the Nanaimo to Horseshoe Bay ferry.
Oh, okay.
I just learned that there's 2 ferries in Nanaimo. There's also Duke Point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and one of them apparently, it's very controversial opinions. Apparently, it was built because the other one would cause a traffic jam, which is a bit of an oxymoron in Nanaimo.
Okay. Yeah. No, started this day in Port Hardy.
Now, this was on our Pucks on Net community building tour that you're on. You were shaking hands, kissing babies, handing out business cards, handing out turquoise balloons. How did it all go?
Correct. And woke up bright and early this morning to watch Sportsnet because the hotel had no audio on TSN. Today is free agent frenzy, right? Like it feels like it's been one hell of a long day.
This feels like it's been a very long 2-year season that we are started on the first week of October, and we ended on July 28th, slightly
of 2019.
Yeah, and I mean, one could argue that when the Canucks, the last offseason, the last free agent frenzy, they acquired a handful of people on the team, looked very specific, and today,
all those players are like Thanos snapped out of history. Jim was like, no, and then they all just disintegrated into dust.
Isn't it funny that last year, I remember Arash and I did a Patreon bonus episode when Holtby Holtby was signed, and I think Hammond was signed. Oh, it might have been just Holtby.
I remember how excited you were about that Hammond signing, or not Hammond signing, but the Holtby signing. You're like, they finally made a good signing. You were thrilled about it.
They made a good signing that made sense, had short term. I don't think it had any no movement clauses. And it's like, oh, we're going to acquire a player we're going to surround Thatcher Demko with him. They could battle for the net. And the next thing you know, it's Thatcher Demko's net pretty damn quickly.
I think we just need to put in a context of like, listen, last year is a year that's never going to happen again. Like at least in our lifetimes. Sorry, in our lifetimes. Like we're not going to have a pandemic year where the schedule is that compact and they have to make new leagues and people aren't allowed to. Like, it's just, we need to throw that out. And yeah, was it like we're very optimistic with Braden Holtby and Nate Schmidt and all this stuff. They hit a reset button. This management group has kind of put all their chips in the middle and kind of punted all their problems down into other years. We have a choice. We either can sit here and be miserable for another year or embrace the fact that they have created, listen, they're going in and potentially putting Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Tyler Myers on the same defense pairing. We need to embrace the fact that they're going to like do like just shotgun hockey. They're just either they're going to win 9-8 or they're just going to, they're just going to lose. And I think you can either just, and we can complain and we can do all the negative stuff later. I think after the year that everyone has had, everyone should go into the next season. Just go have fun with it. This defense is absurd. And I don't mean that in a, this is sick type way. This defense is like, I don't know what the F this defense is going to, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're
what
paying
it's
a
going
dude
to look like.
7.25 and you don't even know like if he can play defense anymore. Tucker Pullman is like millpooling it up, like just Millhouse with the cast. You got Travis Hamonic just out here. Luke, they brought back Luke. Man, Luke Shen, I swear to God, if he comes in and he just throws 15 hits a night, 0 assists, 0 goals, love it. The man's won 2 Stanley Cups. Give it to him. He deserves. Give him to. That would be sick. Sorry. Give him a Jack Rathbone. I know they signed Hamonic and Pullman, but I was sick with like, they're like, okay, Jack, we got you a babysitter. His name's Luke. He's really nice, and he'll hit anyone that touches you. You just go. And just watching that third pairing, just that they're gonna go for it. But I don't know what you guys think. Like, is that mentality of off the energy that you guys got from the last week, from the OEL trade to now?
Yeah, no, you said it very eloquently when you said, okay.
This is what we got.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay.
It's
okay.
not, yeah, it's not, it isn't hard to figure out what they're doing now.
Oh yeah.
This is the plan. Dude, we have a plan now, and it's going balls out until we get fired.
And you know what the amazing part about this is? And I'll just say it. The frustrating part about previous seasons is that they would say they're doing one thing and do the exact other thing.
Right.
And we're sitting here being like, well, what? You said you guys were going to build with young people, but then you signed like Jay Beagle and Antoine Roussel. Like, what?
So this time they're saying exactly what they're doing, and then they're doing it. They're trying to save Jim Benning's job, or Jim Benning is trying to save Jim Benning's job. He's telling you this is what he's doing.